Up next on the debut review, we're going to be looking at Goose Island Bourbon County Brand Stout. This is the original, and this is coming in at 14.8% ABV. Check it out. Hi, my name is Rich, and welcome to the debut review. And today we are doing the review that I have to tell you I've been up in the air about since last Black Friday when I bought the 2024 Stout. And you know, quite frankly, I was and still am a little reluctant to buy anything from Goose Island this year. So this year, my normal purchase has been limited until I try them. Because quite honestly, last year I bought a case of the base. It was not very good. I bought 3 of each of the adjuncts or not adjuncts, the variants, and none of the variants really did it for me last year. I think the macaroon was decent, but I wasn't thrilled with the rest of them. So this year, instead of throwing out all the money, I figured let's give it a try together. And you know, quite frankly, with the way things are, I'm reluctant to drop the normal money that I would drop without actually tasting it first. And you know, after last year, I think plenty of this stuff's going to be on the shelves, but you know, that's my opinion on this. We will be reviewing these two, which is the chocolate praline. I could actually get all of them. I just chose not to this year, particularly the boxed ones. $50 for a beer. You know, last year, I have to tell you, I was unimpressed. So, you know, I was burned and that was the end of it. So I did get a chocolate praline stout, and if it's good, I'll get another one. And I did get a Cherries Jubilee cask finish stout, which again, if it's good, I'll get another one. But for now, not going to bother worrying about that. So this was bottled on September 16th of 25, coming in at 14.8% ABV. It is the new little 10-ounce bottles. And just for price comparison, the 10-ounce 4-pack cost about $28, which better than I expected, actually. So what is that? Basically like $8 a beer, give or take, something like that. Which, I mean, this is 15 for... I'm sorry, if I was looking at the base would be 15 for, what is this, 500 mils, and this is, let's say, $8 for 10 fluid ounces, and I'm not going to try to do the math because, you know, but I don't know. I do not trust Bourbon County as much as I once did, and it said here, just in case you can't get the 4-packs, although I feel like they're going to be everywhere. It says, in 1992, Goose Island reimagined what beer could be when we created the first bourbon barrel-aged stout. After 3 decades, we've discovered that the best stout is patiently shaped by time in the finest whiskey barrels, both revealing layers of vanilla, cocoa, toasted marzipan, ever evolving. Each sip is discovery unfolded in the story of Bourbon County Brand Original Stout. Well, I hope it lives up to the expectation, folks, and I'm not going to make you wait any longer while I complain about Goose Island. I am using my 2016 Goose Island glass. Let's give it a pour. And you know, it pours like every other Goose Island I've ever seen. A nice dark. And look at that. The bottle, half a glass. I have to tell you, I right off the bat, I am unimpressed by these 10-ounce bottles. I like the bigger bottles. I like the idea that they were shareable. To give it credit, it's got a good nose. There's the classic bourbon flavor, not aroma, aroma. You get that sort of like good roasty stout flavor to it in the nose, and there's the bourbon flavor, sort of that cask finish, that sort of like roasty charredness to it. Now, this is coming in at 14.8, which I can't remember what last year's was, but I think it was 13 and change, and it burned the whole way. I thought it seemed sort of unfinished. The nose here is better. It smells sweeter. Okay, I want to be careful here I always feel like the, earmark of a really good beer is its ability to hide the alcohol. And quite honestly, the burn starts about here and continues on. Now, I don't mind that, and at 14.8%, I expect some sort of burn. So the burn is there, but it's not terrible. It's definitely not like last year. Last year it tasted unfinished. This is much more manageable. As far as the flavor profile goes, it's sort of classic Bourbon County. A good amount of sweetness, some nice chocolate mid-range, a little bit of vanilla on the back end, which is nice. There is the burn in the back of the throat, then going down into the, I guess, esophagus, whatever. What's remarkable to me about this is that the flavor seems to just drop off really, really fast. It's good. It is. It's Bourbon County. It's better than last year. Is it as good as something from, let's say, 2022 or 2018? No, it's not even close. It's not bad. Would I go out and go nuts and put 2 cases of this away? Probably not. Being in the smaller bottles, I will probably buy 1 case, which around me is about $158. Really, so I can share this, and because I have a couple of 10-year verticals I'm building, and I need the bottles for the 10-year vertical. But I have to say, well, it's better than last year, which, for me, last year was just a bitter, bitter disappointment. I mean, quite frankly, like, this tells you, there's 2 Bardstowns back there, and all of the other, all of the other adjuncts that they did are actually in my beer closet, because I would never actually think of opening them at this point because they are so raw. So like last year was a big disappointment. This is a step back. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me, in 2019, I thought the Bourbon County was terrible. Although it was not as bad as 2024, which I thought 2024 was just god-awful. I have almost, I bought 1 bottle plus a case of the 2024, and normally a year later, I got about 6 bottles left because I share them out for special events. I have, out of the case of, I think it's 9 in the case, might be 12, I don't know. I think I have all but 1 bottle left because I was so unimpressed with 2024. That being said, 2025 is better. It sort of reminds me of the 2020 Bourbon County. There's flavor. It's not bad. It's not great. It's sort of like dead center line, which means it's an exceptionally good beer. It's just not an exceptionally good Bourbon County brand stout. It's an average. So, will I buy a case of this? I will. Will I go nuts trying to get all of the available adjuncts that are out there? I will not. Quite honestly, if this is the base that they're building on, and they also have the 2-year reserve stout, which I definitely will not buy because the 2024 base stout was so, just in my opinion, bad that I can't see how, and I've tried them now a year later, they're still not great. In fact, they are the worst, in my opinion, Bourbon Counties I have ever had, period. I think the 2024 was bad. 2025 steps us back a little bit more into the realm of the sweet, flavorful Bourbon County, but again, it drops off so quickly that it's a little disappointing. Now, that being said, will I go buy a case of this? I will. Really more to keep the collection going than anything else. But where my big change is? It's with the adjuncts. At $25 a bottle, I'm gonna probably buy 1 more of these 2 and call it a day. So we're talking about, listen, money is always an issue when it comes to this stuff for everybody, because $25 for 1 bottle of beer is absurd in a lot of ways. That being said, Maybe $28 for the 4-pack is actually decent enough to go out and get, at least in my area. If you can buy it as a single, I recommend buying a single, seeing how you think, seeing what you think of it, and move on from there. I have to say, and like maybe I'll be the only one who says this, and listen, the company can always come back, and maybe their adjuncts this year are just phenomenal. But I've got to say, I feel like the heyday, or like, the good old days of Bourbon County are sort of gone. Like, this tastes like a beer that was put together by, yes, good solid brewers, but like it feels like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like the craft fun beer that it was before. Like, now it just seems like, it's overhyped for what it is. It's not overhyped for what it was, but for what it is. That being said, would I be ashamed to give this to somebody, or would I not drink this if it was available? No, it's a good beer, and quite frankly, excuse me, if Bourbon County hadn't set the bar so high in the, in the teens of the 2000s, and then again come out with that amazing 2022, I don't think I would be in this position of sitting there going, of sitting there not being excited by a Bourbon County release. But I have to be honest, maybe the bloom is off the rose with me in Bourbon County. Will I continue to drink them? Yeah, probably. Will I go out of my way to hunt them down? Probably not. Not as much. Because quite frankly, I mean, let's be honest, everywhere I go, they're on the shelf. So it's not like the drive to go and get these things is what it once was. So, do I think the base is worthwhile? Yeah, 28 bucks for a 4-pack. It's pricey, but it's not bad, and these last a long time. I can't speak to the adjuncts yet. I will try the, not adjuncts, the variants yet. I will try the variants one by one over the course of the next couple weeks, and I'll let you know. But realistically, there shouldn't be a crazy drive to get these because, again, I think Goose Island took a massive hit last year in its quality. And it's not even like I'm sitting there saying 2023 was so great, because it wasn't. It was a good year. It was definitely better than 24. And I think 25 sort of nestles in between. It's better than 24, but it's definitely not as good as 23. And it doesn't hold a candle to 2022. But these are my opinions. Take them for what they were, what they're worth. And honestly, what you should really do is just get out there, grab a bottle, go to a bar that has it on tap, and give it a shot. Especially before dropping, a ton of money on the stuff. So again, this year's Bourbon County, I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's right down the midline of what they've produced in the past. And, unfortunately, I think it's probably what we're looking at for the foreseeable future when it comes to Bourbon County. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the review. I'm sorry it's sort of a downer on this Black Friday, but I'm going to go and edit it and publish it and probably finish this one off. And then, like I said, I'm going to go out, I'm going to pick up probably a case of these and maybe one more of each of these just to have them there. But, we'll see as I open them up how they turn out. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the review. Cheers. I'll see you next time.